Great, thank you, Andrew. I'll get going. My name is Rich Wilson. I'm with Forum Real Estate Group, the developer. And I want to start by thanking everyone for joining us in this format. We certainly wish we could be with you in person, meet you in person, and take comments and questions in person. But given this unusual time, we're very thankful that the city has worked with us to facilitate this community meeting virtually. I also want to thank Andrew Baker for joining us. Andrew is a city planner with Commerce City, and he's coordinating the development permit for this project. He'll be available during the Q&A session in order to answer any questions that specifically relate to city processes. Before we get started, just wanted to give a little bit of an overview on the way that this is going to work tonight. If you have any questions, please type the questions into the Q&A box in your Zoom control panel at the bottom of the screen, and we'll bring them up during the Q&A session at the end of the call. We'll have somebody who is compiling the questions, and hopefully we can answer all of the questions that we receive. Some of them may be similar, but we're hoping to cover everything as we can in the time that we have. You can also submit any questions after the presentation through a form on our website. Our website for this project is enovaapartments.com. That's E-N-O-V-A, apartments, A-P-A-R-T-M-E-N-T-S.com. And a member of our project team will reach out and respond to any questions that we receive over that medium. This presentation has already been uploaded to our website for anyone to go to and to download for themselves for closer review. And this presentation will also be recorded and will be uploaded to our website tomorrow. So for anyone who wasn't able to see the presentation tonight, or if you'd like to review it again, it will be available online. The agenda that we're going to cover tonight will start with introductions, followed by discussion of the vision for the site, and then ultimately taking questions at the end of the meeting. The presenters who will be speaking tonight will start with me, Rich Wilson, followed by David Piltz, and then Kristen Link, each of us talking about different sort of parts of the project and parts of the process. We are all with Forum Real Estate Group. Forum Real Estate Group is the developer of this project. We are a local developer founded in Colorado, and our offices are in Glendale on the south side of Denver, near Cherry Creek. We build and acquire primarily multifamily apartment communities. Although we do venture into other commercial asset classes, most of what we do is focused on apartments. We've developed over 2,100 apartment units across 4 states, inclusive of projects that are currently under construction. We specialize in the development, design, construction, and ultimately asset management of these multifamily units. And I mention that because we don't generally build projects that we intend to sell immediately after construction. We generally build to hold over a longer term. And so we care very much about the communities that we're in and bringing quality design characteristics that help to enhance the communities that we're working in order to provide long-term value. We've done a number of projects in Colorado, some of which some people may be familiar with. In terms of multifamily residential, some examples include the Logan, which is in Denver, Kent Place, which is on the south side of Denver, a project called Veranda High Point at I-25 in Hampton. And we also had built an apartment building called 29 North in Boulder. Outside of Colorado, we've built a number of apartment communities, including a mixed-use project in Tempe, Arizona, that includes a Whole Foods grocery store on the ground floor with apartment units above it, and also a large, high-quality apartment community outside of Minneapolis. A few other developments we've been involved with here in Colorado that are not residential multifamily include the Google headquarters in Boulder, a parking facility out near DIA called Park DIA, as well as a large retail development down in Castle Rock. Other members of the team who have been working diligently on this land site and this project include our architect and engineer, Galloway. They are acting both as building architects, engineers for the site, as well as landscape design. They have a very strong local presence and do a lot of work in Colorado. Our interior designers trio, again, very prevalent here in the Denver, Colorado market. And our general contractor, Brinkman, out of Northern Colorado, founded here in Colorado and based here, and do most of their work here in Colorado. With that, I will hand it over to David Pilz, who's going to talk to you a little bit about where the site is and its proximities and characteristics. David?
All right, well, thanks, Rich, and thanks everyone for joining. And yeah, we're really excited to walk you through our proposal. But before we cover the details of the project, just want to orient everyone to the location of the site. It's at 16750 East 104th Avenue at the corner of 104th and Landmark Drive. And it's approximately 10.5 acres of undeveloped land. To the north of the site across 104th is the Reunion community. And to the south of the site is the Buckley Ranch community. And there's some overhead power lines that run in between our site and Buckley Ranch. Our neighbor to the west is Rocky Mountain Lutheran High, and our neighbor to the east across Landmark is the Primrose School at Reunion. Next slide. So now diving into the proposal, it's a 100% residential community with 228 market rate rental apartments that will be supported by a wide variety of high-end indoor and outdoor amenities for our tenants. Half the apartments will be 1 bedroom approximately, and half will be 2 bedroom. There will also be an amenity building, which is that light gray L-shaped building in the northwest corner. And that's going to be connected to an outdoor pool deck and cabana, as well as an outdoor kids play area, which is that green space between buildings A and B in the drawing just south of the pool deck. The residential buildings, which are depicted in white, are all going to be 3 stories, and the amenity building will be 1 story. And we'll talk more about the amenities in just a bit. We're going to be making significant streetscape improvements along 104th as well as Landmark, adding trees and other landscaping elements, and then also adding a sidewalk along Landmark where none currently exists. And also carving out just a nice corner at 104th and Landmark and adding a lot of landscaping there. So overall, we feel these elements are really going to enhance the streetscape in this area. In terms of access, there are 2 entrances. There's the main entrance along 104th, where there will be a deceleration lane upon approaching to calm traffic entering the site, and also a secondary entrance on Landmark. And both those entrances will have secured gate access. Being pedestrian friendly is really important to us in all of our residential communities, so we're designing just really nicely landscaped and safe pedestrian walkways within our site to connect our residents to the main amenity area, as well as some secondary amenity areas that include a small dog run in the open space that's on the west side of the site, and also just additional grills and seating and so forth that's sprinkled throughout the site. And we're also providing individual private open space in the form of patios and balconies. So just creating a lot of different ways for our residents to enjoy the outdoors. In terms of parking, we're really well parked with approximately 456 spaces in total for 228 units. So that equates to a 2.0 parking ratio, whereas 1.6 to 1.8 is a little more common. So yeah, we feel that we're definitely providing sufficient parking for our tenants and their guests. Approximately 110 spaces will be within detached covered garages, and the remainder will be surface spaces. For safety and security, the site will be very well lit throughout, and there's also going to be security cameras. And providing privacy has also been a focus of ours in designing the site, privacy for our tenants as well as for our neighbors. And as you can see from this plan, we've really minimized the amount of residential that's along 104th. We just have a 24-unit building there and the short side of a 36-unit building. And then on the south side of the site, we've put the residential inward. So there's actually a very large buffer between us and Buckley Ranch, about 380 feet. Next slide. So expanding on privacy just a little bit more, here we have a site section that's across 104th Avenue. On the right side of the image, we're cutting through that 24-unit building, and then on the left side are the houses at Reunion across 104th. So as you can see, there's a distance of about 225 feet between our building and the nearest backyard. But also our site is actually has significant slope to it, drops roughly 30 feet or so from east to west. So we're gonna have to level it a bit, which will actually cause this 24-unit building to be recessed into the ground with a retaining wall next to it. And then, you know, the positive streetscape improvements we're making in terms of landscaping and so forth will act as a natural buffer as well. Next slide. Here we have some renderings to give you a sense of what the site is going to look like when completed. And just keep in mind, this reflects a snapshot of this point in time as we're still very much in the design process. So, you know, a lot of these details are subject to change. The top image is along 104th, looking at the clubhouse and the adjacent main entrance with some of the residential buildings in the background. And the bottom image shows the corner of Landmark on the left and 104th on the right. Overall, just want to highlight the enhancements to the streetscape that we're making, the greenery we're adding, and in particular, the landscape enhancements we're making to the corner of Landmark and 104th. So I'd now like to hand it over to Kristen Link, who is the project manager for this project, to talk about design, in particular as it relates to the amenity spaces.
Thanks, David. And next slide. So at Forum, we really believe in a commitment to placemaking and creating communities. And this starts at the beginning of each one of our projects through an understanding of who's going to be living in that community, along with its context and character. Enova Apartments' character centers around these elements of home and nature connected, with design focusing around the elements of being natural, connected, refreshing, simple, and open. We've taken those elements into account when designing the site, the units, and especially the shared clubhouse and amenities. Next slide. So our clubhouse welcomes residents in with a large lobby and an open club room that acts as a comfortable space to sit and chat in front of the fireplace, watch a game, or wait for a lift. Next slide. Moving further in, we'll be providing spaces that allow people to stay connected and work remotely from home, including collaboration spaces, private nooks, and conference rooms, all centered around a communal kitchen area. Design is modeled after WeWork, creating a range of flexible working or socializing options for residents. And next slide. So health is always important to our community design, which is why we're including a fully equipped fitness and yoga studio with adjacent secure kids area so parents can get in a workout without having to find a babysitter. Next slide. And then moving outdoors, the project will include a large outdoor recreation area featuring pool, hot tub, several separated outdoor seating areas with lounge chairs, fire pits, and barbecues, along with covered cabana areas. Next slide. Additional amenities will also include a kids' play area with natural features, dog run, and as mentioned before by David, secured parcel locker and mailroom. Next slide. In terms of project timing, we're currently in the PUD development permit review with Commerce City and are expecting to break ground this winter with first move-ins anticipated in early 2021. And final slide. So we want to thank you guys all again for attending our neighborhood meeting. We really appreciate you guys taking time out of your evening and would like to take the next 15 minutes or so to answer any follow-up questions you guys have from the presentation. David, as mentioned earlier, will be moderating the questions as they come in on the virtual Q&A function that was introduced by Rich at the beginning of the meeting. And as mentioned earlier in the presentation, you can also ask questions and provide feedback via the website, the link of which is currently located on the screen and will stay up until the end of Q&A.
Okay, well, we do have a few questions in, so let's just go ahead and get started. First question, what is the expected price point for rentals?
So market rates for when it opens are still to be determined, but current market rates are going between about $1.80 and $2.10 a square foot right now. And we're anticipating somewhere within that range.
And then next question, are you planning to install a privacy fence on the south side of the property since there are houses on that side?
We are currently anticipating putting in a landscaping buffer. We have looked into a landscaping fence per se for privacy due to the distance in between us, but it's something that we can definitely look into as we move forward on the project.
And the next question, there's not much of a setback. You said 3 stories. Could you give me the top out height of the buildings that front or have frontage to 104th?
So the height of the buildings is approximately 30 feet, but as David was mentioning before, grading on the site will actually be below grade and street level, so that approximately only 20 feet or so will be at ground level on the corner of 104th, kind of dwindling down the street. Between landscaping buffers, grading, and the way the site's designed, there's minimal, there'll be minimal impact on the view corridor going across 104th.
And next question, how are you implementing environmentally friendly and sustainable things into your proposed community?
Our project has taken a large focus on landscaping the site in general. We'll be looking at environmentally friendly finishes within the project. And then we look towards long-term sustainability through maintenance between recycling and promoting the use of reduced LED lighting and things that reduce electric and water impact on the site.
And next question, what does this do to the property values for the people that back up to the open space?
The open space.
And I think that maybe means the Buckley Ranch community to the south.
So we believe that the property will actually enhance property values in the area. We'll be doing a lot of street work improvements, improving the sidewalks, improving the landscape, and we believe that we will actually be, through quality design, bringing more value to the area versus decreasing home values in the area.
Will this be conventional or tax credit property?
This is anticipated to be market rate conventional project, not a tax credit project.
Next question is, what is the projected square footage on the units?
The projected average square footage of all units is about 877 square feet. Everything isn't set into stone yet. Our smallest 1-bedroom is anticipated about 600 square feet, with our largest 2 bedrooms at just over 1,100 square feet.
Next question, what are you going to do to limit the traffic impact to the area?
Traffic impact will be limited by a deceleration lane going along 104th into the property. A traffic impact study has been done for the site, looking at what the impact will have on the area. And we're working with the city to make sure that our impact will be adequately mitigated.
Okay, and another question just came in that relates to the deceleration lane. So I'll skip ahead a little bit and just recite that one. Where does the deceleration lane start from the west coming up the hill to Landmark? And is there a chance that the speed limit might be lowered from 45 to 35?
I'll have to defer to Andrew on a speed limit adjustment along 104th. I don't know if you have any input on that, Andrew.
I don't, and you know, in general, the deceleration lane, the impacts to the traffic, the speed limits, all of these things, basically the city has specifications and standards that our public works department uses that it gets applied to every project. And so as Kristen said, they've submitted a traffic study that our engineers are reviewing, and basically they're ensuring that, you know, this proposal meets all of our standards, and you know, that basically that traffic can operate safely. And as far as the speed limits go, you know, I mean, it's like I said, it's kind of it's a public works thing that a simple project like this wouldn't really have necessarily much sway over, if that makes sense.
Just another traffic related question. So again, going out of order just a little bit here. But the question is, almost all residents exiting onto Landmark will be turning left, creating a lot of traffic. What are the plans for traffic there?
There's anticipated to be a full movement access. I don't know that there's, I think the traffic mitigation study looked at that area and determined that it was adequately designed at the current level for the amount of traffic that we'll be adding to that location.
Okay, so the dog park, is that an off-leash area?
The dog park is anticipated to be an off-leash area. It is anticipated to be a private amenity for the apartment project, but it is anticipated to be fenced and off-leash.
So this question, Buckley Ranch has less than 300 homes in it. Your development is bringing another 228 residences into a small area. Why should we support it?
As mentioned earlier, you know, we believe that this project is going to be a quality design project on the corner, bringing quality design and enhanced streetscape to the area that will have a positive impact on the neighboring communities and helping infill to support the neighboring areas.
And is this property considered affordable housing with restricted incomes?
The project is not considered restricted income housing. It's currently anticipated to be a market rate project.
And has this been approved already?
The project has not been approved already. It's currently in process of review in the PUD development permit stage with Commerce City.
When will Buckley Ranch be able to see the detail on the fencing and landscape final plans?
If you leave your contact information as a contact for Buckley Ranch, we can keep you apprised as we continue to move forward with design on the project, incorporating your feedback and thoughts and concerns as we move forward. We don't have a specific date when that would be available.
And I would say too, I would suggest visiting our website where there's a form on the website where you can put in additional questions, and we'll gather your email address and so forth, and we can follow up with you on that. How will your property help bring businesses into the area?
Our project will add additional households and income. Will be able to support new retail and commercial in the area. Commercial and retail revolves around additional households. So by bringing more people, we'll be able to support current retail and then potentially add future retail by expanding that demand.
Do you have plans to purchase or develop the area between your current proposed area and the open parcel adjacent into the west of your site?
We currently do not have plans to develop that open space area between our site, between the developed portion of our site and to the west of our site. We currently anticipate that to be open space, and if anything changes, that would be under a different permit and review process.
Okay. And is there going to be an access way to the Buckley Ranch neighborhood, such as a road or sidewalk?
No, we currently do not anticipate having any through access to the Buckley Ranch neighborhood via pedestrian or vehicular connections.
Is this considered an enterprise zone?
This is not considered an enterprise zone as far as we know. Andrew, I'm not sure if you have anything to add to that.
I'm not sure. That's a little bit out of my wheelhouse, but I'm fairly confident that it isn't.
So a couple more questions about traffic. Again, a concern about the traffic impact on Landmark, as there's Buckley Ranch, South Lawn, and some other connecting areas, including a daycare, that are all utilizing it. The deceleration lane is just on 104th. It says the 104th deceleration lane only applies to eastbound traffic on 104th Avenue, question mark.
That is correct. The deceleration lane is currently located on 104th Avenue, going eastbound, decelerating into the property.
And the next question is, will residents be able to turn left onto 104th out of the complex? So that's sort of, you sort of answered that right there, that the answer is no. It's a right in, right out only.
Correct.
What are you waiting on from the county to be moved into approved? So I assume that's just a question about approval timelines and sort of the approval processes.
Andrew, did you want to take that? I saw you go off mute.
Yeah, and there's actually a couple questions in here that I think I can probably answer all at the same time. Just to kind of give everybody a little bit of history on the property, it's actually not open space. This property has been zoned for multifamily development for more than 15 years. It's been entitled for this type of development, which is why, a lot of these questions that you're asking about traffic and some of the impacts, that have already been considered for quite a long time in this area. And so one of the questions was, what are they waiting on getting approved? The way that this process works for PUD development permits, the development permit, the PUD is the zoning. It's planned unit development zoning. That was what I was referring to, that had been approved back in 2003. That document lays out a lot of the design requirements, parking requirements, setbacks, all of these things. And so at this point in the process, it's really just kind of the final steps. So it won't be going to city council. It's an administrative approval. It's me and the other representatives of city staff who will be ultimately approving it. And, what our review is making sure that the submittal meets every one of the current city standards, as well as the regulations that were put forth by the approved zoning document as well. So this is really the chance for community outreach and notification. I believe there was a question about what the notification area was. If you guys can help me remember here, I had pulled the sheet up and then my internet had cut out for a second. But the notification requirements are just another, city regulation that is part of the process that these folks have to follow. And so it's my job to ensure that all of these things meet our standards and meet our code. And essentially that's what's waiting on for their approval. They're currently under their second round of review. I'm gathering up some of the last remaining comments from folks. We'll be sending them back to them, and then they work on fixing those last few things, and basically that process goes back and forth until we approve it. So I'm here, taking notes, and all of these things are going into the record. We want to take all of your concerns into consideration. So, please, if anybody has any more questions, we'll stay here until everybody feels like they understand what's going on. If I said that too fast, you can certainly ask me again.
And there are a few other questions that relate to city process that, so just want to clarify a couple things. Will the city be holding a public hearing for affected residents? And when is the approval process to be completed?
So no, they won't be a public hearing for this point in the plan. There was a public hearing for the zoning that I had mentioned that was approved back in 2003. But after the land is entitled that way, at this point, the public hearing is not required for approval. And as far as the timeline goes, I don't really have a whole lot of control over that. The city planning division is only one of the groups who's ultimately commenting on this. Public Works, with streets and utilities, the drainage of everything, there's power companies, and so I don't necessarily have control over how many comments they're going to have or how long that review process might take. But I would say that I'm expecting it to. I'm expecting approval this year.
And there was also just a question about the expected date to break ground. We're currently anticipating early 2021. So moving on, are there plans for new schools to support the added residents?
We are currently not anticipating creating a school on the site, but our project will be paying into school impact and mitigation fees to help support the local schools during the development.
And also, the school district is one of those referral agencies that I just mentioned that these projects get referred to. So every residential project that comes in goes to the school district so that they can keep track, and they have a very well-developed plan of when schools will go where, and making sure that they have enough schools to take in the residents that are coming.
And then someone who just wants us to be a little bit more specific on what we mean when we say there's going to be a positive impact on the community.
So I think there's a few different areas there. I mean, I think one of them is just the improvement of sidewalks and landscaping and streetscape along with the pedestrian environment along the property. Two, I think there's just an economic value to adding more households to support local retail and commercial. And then three, as a local developer, long-term holder, we are a group who takes a lot of pride in the design and the quality of the project. So we believe this really will be a high quality project that will add to the neighborhood, adding value as one of the neighbors and as a community within Commerce City.
And this question is, has Commerce City submitted the development proposal to the airport for their input on aviation overflight impacts?
This area, this wasn't in what's called an airport influence area. So it wasn't one of the required referrals that we had to make.
A couple questions about safety. First one is the complex going to be a gated community that requires an access code? And then someone else who's just concerned about neighborhood safety, since Buckley Ranch is a really safe neighborhood.
Yeah, so we do anticipate this to be a secure access project, which means that people will need a code or some kind of remote in order to enter the project through a vehicle. Additionally, security is a big concern on our sites, and we want to make sure our residents are secure. So we do plan on including very high level of site lighting on the site, security cameras, amongst other safety measures within the project.
Okay, next question. What tax credits as a developer are you taking?
We aren't anticipating taking any tax credits on this project.
And then what are some of the exterior finishes that are being proposed for the residential buildings?
The exterior finishes proposed for the residential buildings are a mix of lap siding, board and bat, and then also an Eldorado stone mixed within in that in the exterior facade.
This one is the remaining space will still be up for sale, I'm assuming. Will this too be held for residential? So I think they're referring to the west side of the site there.
No.
Sorry, go ahead.
Okay. I say no, the additional area, the open space to the west of the site between the adjacent property will not be for sale.
And will there be increased development for internet speeds from internet providers?
We plan to connect with local internet, and I know that there is fiber located close to the property. Is that the question?
I'm not totally sure. I think just wondering about bringing high-speed internet into the area.
It's our understanding that there's fiber already located in 104th that we'll be planning to connect into.
And then the last question is, what is the distance from Buckley Ranch fencing to the edge of parking on the south side of the property? And that's one I can answer. I think it is about 200 feet from our property line down to the Buckley Ranch fencing. I think more or less that's what it is. But then also between our southernmost residential building to the backyards of Buckley Ranch is about 380 feet. And another question came in. We already have issues with high-speed connectivity. So there's just a concern that this is going to be exacerbating that unless something is done to improve it.
We'll be working with the franchise providers, Comcast and CenturyLink, and high-speed internet is a priority for our community as well. So we'll be working to ensure a high-speed internet for us that should be equal to the adjacent neighborhoods as well.
Okay, and that is all the questions. So yes, thank you for joining, everyone. Just a lot of really great questions. Oh, there's another one. Will you have site work start and stop hours for loud work, or are they going to start after 9 a.m. and end by 7 p.m.? Just wondering, kind of during construction, what are the hours are they going to be working?
Andrew, I don't know if you want to speak to this related to Commerce City noise ordinance hours, or?
Honestly, I don't know them off the top of my head, but there absolutely are noise ordinances. You can certainly reach out to me, and I can look that up and get you that information if you'd like.
And we do plan to comply with all the noise ordinances on construction hours for the project.
Great. Well, with that, just want to thank everyone again for joining. This has been, I think, really helpful for us to, connect with the community. And again, if you have any follow-up questions, feel free to visit our website, which you can see here, enovaapartments.com. And there's a form that you can fill out to submit any additional questions. And someone from the project team will respond to you shortly.
And is my email address on the website?
It's not currently, but we can add that.
I'll also just send it to the group here. If anybody has follow-up questions for me, please feel free to reach out.
Great. Well, thanks again to everyone for attending, and yeah, we look forward to being your neighbors here.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.